Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today, I'm once again answering some of your questions, such as one last market update in regards to pricing and what is the most undervalued watch at the moment, in my opinion, along with what do I think it takes to make a great independent brand. All that and more in today's episode. Now, of course, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. I'm wearing my new to me Seiko Baby Tuna in blue that I put on a NATO strap. My new beater watch. I made a video about it a couple of days ago. Go check it out if you're interested. I absolutely love it. And also, guys, don't forget to check out delraywatch.com. As always, interesting watches are always coming in stock. We just got in an H. Moser Pioneer with the mad red dial. I know you guys love the Pioneer. I love it. I own one myself, and we just got one in stock. We also got in a Cuervo y Sobrinos Historiador with the beautiful salmon dial and the horned lugs. A very hard to find watch, not one you see every day. Very quirky, but with a ton of personality, and I adore it. And a Grand Seiko Mount Iwate with the Blue Dial Boutique Edition. Also pretty hard to find in the United States, but it's available at delraywatch.com. Link in the description below. So yeah, guys, here are some of your questions that you've asked me on my Instagram account, at Federico Talks Watches. A few times a month, a Q&A picture pops up. You can ask your question there. When I get enough questions, I take it down. Please do not DM me, as I do not check them. In no particular order, we start with a regular viewer from the channel, Fran Esposto. And he said, "Hey Fed, hope you had a great holiday season." Thank you. Just got a new travel watch roll for Christmas. Is it pretentious or pompous to bring 4 watches on vacation that's only a week long? Fran, that's an interesting question. It's something I struggle with myself because I travel a lot and I like to take watches with me. I don't think it's pretentious or pompous because who cares what other people think? It's what you like. So pretentious or pompous, absolutely not. However, depending on where you're going, where you're staying, what type of travel insurance you have, hotel safe situation, I personally very rarely travel with 4 watches, for only a week-long trip. I try and take 2 or maybe 3, one on my wrist, one in a case, or one in a roll. I have travel insurance that covers me for up to $100,000, and I can use a hotel safe, which is covered by my insurance. So that's what I do. I do take more watches sometimes for special occasions or longer trips, but my only concern is, security, and am I going to enjoy 4 watches in 7 days? I don't think it's pretentious or pompous at all. That's not the issue, but there are other things to consider. Raj Chada. Hope you enjoyed your trip. Thanks, Raj. What's the most undervalued watch sitting out there right now? Well, this question caught me a little off guard. I haven't done a ton of research, so I'm going to give you what's off the top of my head. And off the top of my head, it's impossible to pick one, so I'm going to pick a few brands more than watches. I think anything made by Beauvais is massively undervalued, a very strong independent brand that you can get heavily discounted, a lot of in-house movements, very, very high-end finishing. Then I think Parmigiani is still very undervalued, particularly the old stuff, even though that brand is growing in prestige with the release of their new GT model, so they won't be undervalued for long. And on the lower price point end of the scale, Baume & Mercier, particularly the Clifton. I think it's just a beautiful dress watch. Yes, it's an Etta Salita movement, but pre-owned, you can pick them up for peanuts, and I find it absolutely gorgeous. Bruno Papa 1. Keep up the good work and Happy New Year. Thanks, Bruno. What are your predictions this year in terms of the market? Will the gray prices continue to go down? Do you think they've hit their minimum in Rolex, Patek, and AP? Thank you. Bruno, this is an interesting question. I know a lot of people are thinking about this. I certainly don't have a crystal ball, but I do have an opinion. I do think we're pretty close to the bottom. I've seen the market, the downward trend to be slowing down. I don't think we're quite at the bottom, and I think it has a lot to do with the local economy, at least here in the US where I am. Is there going to be a recession? If that's the case, I think it could slip a little bit further. But as of right now, things seem to be stabilizing, even though I don't think we're quite at the bottom. I know my answer was not really an answer, but best I could do with giving advice responsibly. And Grease J. Really enjoyed the Scottish Watch podcast you did. Thanks, brother. Who do you see as the next Moser and Sia coming down the pike, and what are the key ingredients to becoming a successful independent? Well, the key ingredients I think I can answer pretty well. Who's the next one to be like a huge success, like Moser's done, going from relative obscurity to massively successful in 10 years? That's going to be harder to predict. I saw that the owner of Beauvais, Pascal Raffi, just bought out his investors, so now he owns the entire company. I like when brands do that. I like when owners put the money where their mouth is, and I love the watches they make. So I think they have a good shot, but honestly, that is a very hard prediction. However, what makes a good independent brand? That is a little easier to answer, in my opinion, even though I could take hours to answer that question. So I'm going to make it as short as possible. The first thing is quality. Now, this goes without saying. There's mass production quality like Longines, Omega, or Rolex. Obviously, there's different levels there. But I think for a high-end independent, you need to have artisanal craftsmanship, so something higher in quality, right? Then I think interesting movements. It's hard to be considered a high-end independent if you're only using Etta or even Vaucher, or even movements you don't make yourself. If you look at all the big independents, Parmigiani, which actually owns Vaucher, so they are in-house. Journe, they make their own movements. Moser, they make their own movements. I think that's key. Developing movements is key, even though it's not the only thing, because there's other brands like Sartori Billard, which are high-end independents, even though not obviously as high-end as Moser and Journe, that use out-of-the-box movements, but they do their own thing. They make dials, right? So I do think if it's not movements, then another thing you need to do is specialize in something. Make special cases or special dials, something unique to get the collector interested. I think between the quality, between the specialization, and then the third thing from a business perspective is controlling your supply chain, as in where your watches end up. Make sure they're not discounted, make sure you're not overproducing them, make sure you're not underproducing them. So controlling what you put out in the market is also key, because you don't want your watches to drop in value, you don't want them to end up in the wrong dealer's hands, but you also want to make enough to where you're profitable and can keep innovating new things. But it seems pretty simple off the top of my head, but a lot of brands don't do this. It's definitely between quality, specialization / a unique product, and controlling the supply chain. Anyway, guys, that is it for today, but I'll catch you in a couple of days. Thanks so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Really does help. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more content. And of course, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.